Right, now it's being recorded. First of all, let me say thank you for joining today's webinar. I hope you'll find it useful. I hope you'll find some great insights from the topic that we'll be discussing today. And by the way, the topic for today's discussion is a guide to effective spend management and cost reduction. Before we'll dive in, let us first introduce ourselves. My name is Alex Keselman. I'm a solution engineer at ApprovalMax. And for the past 7 years, my main job was to hear our customers globally, understand what are their challenges in their accounts payable process, and implement technology in order to resolve that. With me on the call, we have James from Airwallex. James, over to you to tell us a bit more about yourself and your role in the business.
Yeah, morning everyone. As Alex said, James Scobie, I work in the commercial partnerships team at Airwallex across the UK and Europe. My role predominantly is working with accountants and also their clients to support them with banking and payment options internationally. And yeah, really keen to chat with you all and keen to have any conversations or follow-up questions after this to see how Airwallex may support your business and indeed your clients as well.
It's great having you here. All right, let's start with an agenda, what we're going to discuss today. We have several topics to discuss. At first, we need to understand what are the challenges and what are the bottlenecks. So what in a accounts payable process, the most common bottlenecks. Then we'll talk a little bit about what causes these inefficiencies. And once we understand what is the problem, what is an issue, then we'll need to try to resolve those issues. And that's where we'll provide you with a step-by-step guide on how to resolve such inefficiencies. Once we'll cover that, we'll take a look on how to set up spend management controls using ApprovalMax tool. And after that, we'll take a look on how to reduce your costs for payments with Airwallex. At the very end, we'll have Q&A section where we're trying to answer all of your questions. Though I would highly encourage you to ask any questions along the way in the Q&A section. We have several support engineers here with us on the call on the background who might help us explaining or answering your questions during the webinar. So that's an idea. Now let's move on to the actual presentation. And first of all, let's try to identify some of the bottlenecks of our accounts payable process, because it's hard to resolve something when you have no idea what are the challenges and what are the issues. And the first point that I would like to talk about is processing and incoming invoices. That is actually a very interesting topic, because if we are not handling something with the historical documents, there is no real need for us to keep all of these paper receipts in the actual paper. Of course, if we're talking about the constitution of our country, like the first historical document, it's great that we need to archive it, we need to store it somewhere. But if we're talking about the receipts that your employee sent to you that they had a lunch yesterday, it's probably not the best idea to keep it this way. It is much better to keep it in an electronic format for many big reasons. One, these paper get lost. It's been ruined within the couple of months or a year. It's really hard to keep track whatever been spent. And for your employees, it's easily they will forget to take all of these checks and bring it to you afterwards. So that is one of the biggest source of clutter and one of the biggest source of errors. We just cannot really control that. So putting your invoices and your receipts into digital format will really allow you to keep track on everything in a much more quicker, much more efficient way. Once we've put all of our invoices and all of our purchase orders into the digital format, the next thing would be to enter these invoices into your accounting platform. And here, it's very strange to me that a lot of customers out there, a lot of people out there, a lot of companies out there are still using some outdated ways of keeping their documents. Some are still using desktop apps, which is sort of like a dinosaur age for now. And there is lots of challenges that comes with these desktop apps and just not having that everything in the cloud. First of all, you do not have a centralized point of action. If you're out from your office, out from your desktop computer, you simply don't have access to your accounting platform. On top of that, these desktop apps are day to day being supported by their developers. So it's much better to have a centralized hub where you can keep all of your documents and you have access to all of that. And at the same time, these centralized apps will have support needed in this 21st century. Once we've got our cloud accounting, once we have an understanding of where each and every document should be held in, the next step would be to identify if there's any problems with invoice reviewing and matching. So having that in place, having understanding of if someone from the team can actually automate the process of reviewing the invoices and make a make some supplier rules on how to add the categories, how to add some tracking categories, and so on, will eliminate some of these additional bottlenecks. But the topic that I would want to discuss as much as possible would be an invoice approvals. Because once we have all of our digital invoices, we have it all in one central place, the next step for us would be to approve such things. And not having a clear and understandable and auditable control over your expenditure might bring us to very strange challenges, very strange issues. One of them would be that you'll need to chase all of your approvers around, and it might take a lot of your time. On top of that, it brings us to some additional things like incorrect and incomplete coding. And on top of the day, we'll be missing some of these payments. So with that, once we've created a unified process, the next step would be to process this invoice for payments and the actual payment. So here I would like to hand over a mic over to James to talk about the payments a little bit, about this bottlenecks.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of payments and where we see the most bottlenecks, probably the most common problem we see is when clients are using multiple banks, multiple fintechs, multiple payment providers to make payments not only locally, but then also internationally. So similar to having ApprovalMax as that end-to-end software for all approvals and invoices, Airwallex is able to provide that from a payment perspective, which we can dig into in a bit more detail.
Awesome. So now, once we've identified some of these bottlenecks, I would like to run a poll just to understand a bit more about you guys, those who are listening to the webinar. What are the challenges you have, and how would you evaluate your accounts payable process right now? So let me run the poll. You should be able to see the poll on your screen. So feel free to vote on one of these or many of these options. All right, we've got the first few votes. I'll be sharing the results afterwards, so don't worry about that. But I see that the majority of votes goes between two things. All right, a few more. We'll have another 10 seconds for voting. And I'm closing the poll so we could see the results. And we can see that the vast majority of you sort of split it out between two things. One, that I know where the inefficiencies are, but not sure how to get rid of them. And hopefully today's webinar will allow you to understand a bit more where to take a look on and how we can really fix it. And the other half would be we already working on solving the inefficiency of the AP process. That's great. So if you're in the beginning of the path, maybe today's webinar will give you some insights. So I have another poll to share with you. So let me just switch the slide. And this one is on which step of the process, since we've already seen where are the main bottlenecks, where you think your bottlenecks are at the stage, at the moment. All right.
Payments.
Yep. Well, James, that's your audience. We're still waiting for everyone to vote, but I see that the vast majority goes to payments. It seems like it's the biggest pain for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, a few more. Closing in 10. Any last votes? All right, so let me end the poll and share the results with you. So as you can see, actually, at the end of the poll, it's divided in between two main problems. The first one would be making payments, as we already told you. And yeah, it seems like it's a huge pain for a lot of companies out there to find the best tool and trying to automate it as much as possible. The other one, it's an invoice review and matching to purchase orders. So to have this really clear spend control over your expenditure is a big problem for a lot of companies out there. And of course, processing invoice for payments and processing incoming invoices. Okay, nice. So now let's dive into the actual topic of today's webinar. And let's start with our step-by-step guide on where to take a look on and what should we do in order to resolve these inefficiencies. And the first one, it might be a advice from the Captain Obvious, is moving your accounting into the cloud. And I believe most of you already using some cloud platforms. But still, I think it's worth mentioning over and over again that switching from desktop, switching from the dinosaur age technology, it's should be done actually years ahead. Now it is industry standard to work in the cloud just for several few reasons. One, that you have a centralized point of contact, or you have all of your invoices in one place and you have access to all of those documents anywhere in the world. We've all been in this situation just 2 years ago when the pandemic hit, and suddenly you just cannot go to your office. Suddenly you cannot really work with all of your make your job. Therefore, switching to the cloud might be a great idea to start with. Now, once we've moved to the cloud, like Xero or maybe QuickBooks Online, the next thing would be implementing OCR tool to make your invoices go digital very quickly. Because there is no real reason for a human to do this monkey job and inputting all the data manually into your accounting software. It is much easier and much more accurate if a machine, especially with AI technology included, will do that for you. They will read the PDF document. They'll make sure that everything, all the lines are added into the specific fields. And once it's all digitized, it will be just much quicker for you to streamline it over to your approval system or to your payment system. One of the case studies that we have with one of our Australian partners, once they've implemented auto entry to their day-to-day business, they've calculated how much money they've spent and how much money they've actually earned from adding this new technology. And they reduced their payments for $39,000 early. Though for the big company, it might sound like not that huge big of a deal, not that huge of amount, but still $39,000, it is $39,000. So adding OCR technology might lead you to some very nice results and reducing these manual data entry errors. Now, once we've established that, the next one would be to establish process for budget monitoring. Lots of companies, they keep the budgets, but they sort of keep a secret from their users. So they have no idea what they're actually accruing. They can see the invoice that was received from the supplier, but they really have no idea how does that compare to the budget numbers they have already in place. So adding a system that will allow your users see what data is available for them in real time will actually reduce the risk of error, of overspending, and just make a single solution for your users to have, first of all, understandable numbers, to make a forecast, and it's sort of like a one solution for payments and expenses to better track and manage your spend. Once we've established budget monitoring, the next one would be to use approval automation to streamline all of your authorization process. So manual approval process is actually bringing a lot of delays and errors. If we don't have a clear understanding of where each and every bill or each and every purchase order should go to, it really will become a game of cat and mouse, where you'll be sending all of these multiple notifications, you'll be keeping track on whatever been approved versus not, and by the end of the day, on the day that you need to make already a payment, you won't have a clear picture of who made the matching, who made the approvals, if they're actually made an approvals, if they've actually seen what you've sent to them. So it's really bring us to the situation where you'll be the last point of action on the last day when you need to make a payment. Once you've implemented a clear and understandable control for both your staff and for your board members and for yourself, all of you will share responsibility of approving the documents. Everyone will have a clear understanding of what's going on within the system, and everything will be flowing through not within the days, but rather within the hours. We've actually gathered some statistics from our customers, from our partners, and we've seen that before they start using some automation tools, typically industry average, it took about 9 days for approve a single invoice. Imagine if you need to go to the grocery store and you'd like to buy some bread, and you would need to stay in line for 9 days. That's exactly what happens in the B2B world if they're not using any automation tools. And once you'll start adding step by step these additional tools that might help you with OCR, might help you with automation, the time that will take for you to approve a single document will reduce significantly from days just to hours. And the cost for approving a single invoice will be dramatically reduced from maybe hundreds of dollars to just $1 or $2 per document or pounds. So that is on the approval automation side of inputting your invoices. Now on the payment side, I would like to hand it over to James to talk about the payment side of it.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex. So in terms of payments and where Airwallex certainly brings the most value is being able to consolidate multiple banks and providers to make not only for local payments, but then also for other countries where they may have a presence. So we see a lot of clients and come across clients that are operating in 2, 3, 4 different countries, which can add complexities to the team needing different access, different passwords. When you then throw in different time zones, that can often delay the payment process by another 1 to 2 days. So really looking to minimize the time that it takes to make payments, but then also minimizing the risk and having the right people, having the right access. So something Airwallex is able to have the one solution, that one-stop shop for all payments in the UK, if you're a UK business, but then also having your team in Australia, as an example, having the same platform to be able to make payments locally. So really looking to get clearer controls and clearer, I suppose, clearer idea of exactly who's making payments, when, and being able to make them. If you jump to the next slide, the other I suppose, solution that Airwallex looks to solve is being able to provide a better solution for the recurring expenses that business has day to day. So firstly, for subscriptions, so those recurring subscriptions often billed in foreign currency, they can get lost, hard to track. Sometimes you see companies paying for subscriptions that they either don't use, or potentially when employees leave, they just get completely lost and forgotten about. And similarly for the ad hoc expenses that a business incurs. So a director of a business may only have the one corporate card that's shared around the office. Often this is problematic if that card's got in the wrong hands, but it's also just rather annoying if you've got to chase up the one person who's got the card. So in terms of solution, using Airwallex, you're able to create virtual cards to better manage those recurring expenses. So you're able to create one virtual card for one expense. You can pause or cancel that card whenever you need, which also doesn't impact the other expenses that may be linked to that one corporate card that's in the office. So being able to have a better solution for that, and also being able to have the dashboard to be able to track and view it all in the one place. Similarly with our physical cards, so being able to issue employees, so empowering them to spend business funds day to day, minimizes the risk of having that one card passed around the office, but it's also a better experience if you've got ability to give employees funds and be able to track expenses and receipts in the one spot as well.
I imagine I had such a thing, because I remember this one time when I was on a business trip and I totally forgot that I've my actual card back at home. So I only had another card that I had $100 on it. And suddenly 5 days before I had to go home, one of the subscription providers, I wouldn't tell the name of that, but they just charged $50 from these $100, and I've left for $50 for another 5 days on a business trip. So it was a nightmare. I wish I had some kind of a tool that will allow me to keep track on such things.
Yeah, so in that example where you've got one card across 10 different subscriptions, if you're going to cancel that card, it's going to impact the rest of your subscriptions and the rest of your spend. So being able to create these virtual cards for specific expenses for free, I might add, is definitely a better way to do it.
Definitely. Okay, so now once we've identified and went through this step-by-step guide on where you can find all of these bottlenecks, now let's talk about the actual products. So we have myself from ApprovalMax and we have James from Airwallex. We'll now go through some of the things that we can show from ApprovalMax and Airwallex, and we'll take a look on the actual live demo, very quick one, just for you to understand the way it works. So I'll start with ApprovalMax. In case you haven't heard about us yet, 6 years ago in 2016, ApprovalMax was founded, and since that time, we became quite a big part of both Xero and QuickBooks Online ecosystems. Now, by the way, we're also integrated with Oracle NetSuite and with Deer Inventory. So in case your customers or maybe yourself working with the systems, now we can support them. But coming back to Xero, coming back to QuickBooks Online, if you'll take a look on a Xero marketplace, for instance, you will find more than 250 plus 5-star rating reviews from the customers and partners who's using our product on the day-to-day basis. At the same time, in 2020, ApprovalMax became Zero App Partner of the Year, starting from New Zealand market. The next year, 2021, we became once again Zero App Partner of the Year, but this time in UK market. And I'm happy to announce that just a week ago, we received another Zero App Partner of the Year award, again in New Zealand market. So we're very proud of these awards. However, what do we do? The main idea behind the product would be to create a unified and simplified process of approving your financial documents. The way we're doing that, by creating multi-step and multi-level approval workflows, where all of your users, everyone who's supposed to approve your financial documents, will know exactly what they need to approve based on the rules that you've created in the workflow. So to put it in simple words, a workflow, it is just a canvas of your organization, where you build up a sequence of approval steps and you just add as many users as you want to. From that side, ApprovalMax becomes sort of like a shield between your accounting platform and your users. Because to be frank, there is no really need for your users to have access to your accounting platform. They might do something bad over there, they can see some financial statements, and it's just better to keep away users who are not in the accounting away from your accounting platform. From the users, on the other hand, the whole process becomes so simple and so straightforward because they can receive their email notifications or push notifications on their mobile app and do their approvals on the go. All of the relevant and essential information will be provided to them, including attachments, including bill to PO matching, including budget checking, including comments from their colleagues, or all of the line items, and so on and so on. And for you, in case you are an accountant or a bookkeeper, the whole process becomes much more auditable because per each transaction that we are approving, we are generating the audit report, which shows you who exactly made the decision, why they've made it, and when they've made it. So with that being said, let's take a look on the actual live demo of the product and see the way it works. So very quickly, I won't go very much into details, just to give a bit of an understanding of the way it works. What are we seeing here? It's all of our zero connected approval workflows. ApprovalMax can work both on accounts payable and accounts receivable side, and we have a separate workflow for different financial documents. Purchase orders for bills, for credit notes, for sales invoices, credit notes for accounts receivable side. And I'm happy to announce that, again, a very new feature we just recently released, a new workflow for creation of the batch payments. So you can create a batch out of all of the approved bills and then submit it for approval. So then some payment providers can pick it up and make the actual payment. But to put it in a very simple words, the workflow, as I've mentioned already, it is nothing more than just a sequence of approval steps where you can add as many users as you want to and provide them with their respective permissions on what type of things they allow to see, what they allow to approve. So what are we seeing here? I have two approval steps, head of departments and board approval step. I have 4 people under head of department step. And if I'll take a look inside, I will see that I have a very simple structure here. Everything that is less than £1,000 from the respective department should go to one of these users. So if it comes for CSM, Jim will be approver. If it's for finance, then it goes to Kate, and so on and so on. Now, if you would like to build some additional approval steps here, we just simply click on a plus sign. It will create an approval step for us. We can drag it whenever we want to. And let's say this one will be CFO and CMO. And once we have our approval step, we just simply need to add our approvers here. Once we have our approvers, again, we'll just simply provide what type of things they are allowed to approve. So let's say it's going to be over or equal to £1,000 for both of them, but only if it belongs to their respective location and maybe some specific nominal codes. So we can do it this way. Let's say account code, advertising and marketing. And for CFO, he'll be approving everything else except for advertising and marketing. And once we've created the workflow, just simply activate that or update workflow like in my case. And for your users, the whole process becomes so simple because they have simply one screen where they need to make their approval decision. It calls requires my decision. Here you will find everything that is awaiting your approval. And on the right side, you will see the actual request that you're approving. So here, for example, this bill from Airbnb, I can straight away see all the relevant data that I need to approve, including the total amounts, including line items, including attachments, which I can take a look on either in full screen or in side-by-side mode. In case I'm keeping my budgets in Zero Budget Manager, I can enable budget checking feature within ApprovalMax, so your approvers in real time will be able to compare budgets against the request that they're approving, and they can see what is their remaining budget. They can see the impact of the bill that they're approving right now, and they can see how does this particular request compares to the overall budget, if they're about to reach the limit or if they're still within the budgets. So all of that is available for you straight away from just one place, from one screen. You can do the bill to PO matching. You can see where exactly this request at the moment, and you can see the clear audit trail. Same goes for the mobile app. You can do all of your approvals on the go. You will see the same screen requires my decision with the same information provided to you. And with that, you can really streamline your process of approving your invoices from days just to a couple of minutes and a couple of hours. So that is on ApprovalMax side. Now let me start the presentation, and I would like to hand over to James to talk about the Airwallex now.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex. So in terms of Airwallex, for those that have not heard of us, we are a cross-border fintech, and everything that we do is about empowering businesses to go global. So we support UK clients looking to scale internationally, helping with local banking around the world, and then also international clients. So if it's a business from Europe, being able to help them set up in the UK. So often that banking is generally the first step to be able to land in a new territory and enable them to get credibility in the market. And so that's something that we help provide from the comfort of them not actually having to visit the territory that they're going to. So we're now 7 years old, originally founded in Australia, roughly about 1,200 employees in all major markets around the world, and able to support businesses from almost all corners of the globe. We've recently raised in October, which kept our valuation at 5.5 billion, and you can see some of the investors that have supported us along the way. So in terms of the actual product and what we do, if you jump to the next slide, Alex, we allow clients, we have a banking platform that allows clients to collect, manage, and spend across multiple currencies. So we've been speaking about some of the spend capabilities through local payments, whether it's through bank transfers or cards. But to look at the opposite end of that, we support clients to set up bank accounts to be able to collect funds across multiple currencies. In terms of how that would operate, they're able to accept bank transfers or even sync them up to e-commerce platforms, being able to collect funds like for like, and then hold those currencies in their wallet. What then comes from having multiple currencies is we have an FX tool, so being able to convert funds, and also the spend functionality that we've touched on. So in summary, Airwallex is really bringing a lot of value to any business that's dealing in more than one currency, and providing a better way to manage money internationally. And what I'll do is the lights just turned off. So I'll jump into a quick demo, which I can do now. See my screen, Alex? So every time you log into Airwallex, we always have two-factor authentication, which is great, but it tends to slow things down a touch. So when a client comes in, every client will have access to the same platform. So a UK business will be able to log in, same view as an Australian business. So this is the dashboard where they're able to see and view all of their currencies. And then you've got the product features on the left-hand side here. So conscious of time, I won't jump into every individual product, but clients are able to come into here, create global accounts. The bank accounts are in the client's name, each with their own account numbers and account details, and it gives you access to the local payment methods. So if you're a UK business looking to set up and send money to Australia, you're actually using the local payment methods, and that goes for up to 90 other countries around the world. So where possible, we'll always try and avoid using the SWIFT network, ensuring that payments that you're making are, first of all, cost effective. So each payment is free, except when there's a currency conversion, but it's also going to be a lot faster. We also have the cards. So being able to create virtual cards, employee cards for members of the business. And these are able to be created in a click of a button. So you've got company card and then employee card. We've also got full functionality. So Alex was touching on Xero being an important partner for ApprovalMax, similar to Airwallex. They're one of our leading partners. So being able to sync with Xero on an hourly basis via a bank feed, and then also our expense data. And also being able to actually make or receive payments. So sending out payment links in Xero, and then funds will come through to Airwallex. So speaking with the accounting partner, so from an accounting point of view, we have an accounting program. So whether you're able to introduce Airwallex just on a referral basis, or even going that step deeper where you're actually able to manage payments on behalf of clients as well. So very much aware this is a very quick tour, but yeah, really keen to follow up with any questions, and even after this call, running through a more succinct, more sophisticated demonstration.
Yep, thank you very much. We're using Airwallex ourselves, and I have my own Airwallex card. So I love going into the app and adding all of these things. It's really works like magic.
Yeah, I think ApprovalMax is our client, and probably a really good example of a business that's receiving funds in multiple different currencies, sending money internationally. Alex, you were talking before, you're off to Canada for a trip, so those cards are multi-currency. So when you're spending in the UK, it'll pull from your sterling balance, but then as soon as you go to Canada, it'll pull from the Canadian dollar balance.
Yeah. Okay, so the last thing I would like to, it's another short poll, just understand about your preferences in emails. So feel free to let us know what is your preferences. Here we go. Should be able to see that. Oh. For some reason, lots of helicopters flying today here in my city. Hopefully you cannot really hear that loud. All right, let's see. Well, third already voted, maybe last few votes. Thank you. So I'll be closing that in 10. Any last votes? Feel free to do it right now. All right, and I'm closing the poll, and we are actually moving to one of the last things. Well, first of all, if in case you'd like to give it a try, like in case you want to play around with ApprovalMax, we have a 14 days free trial. So feel free to sign up today and see everything, all these workflows, everything in action straight away. And you can always send a message to our support team, to our sales team. So someone from our team will come back to you and make sure that everything is working properly. James, on your side, would you like to say something?
Yeah, so I suppose for any follow-up conversations, happy to be the first point of contact. We do have an accounting program, which would be great to speak to all the accountants about, but then also just via a direct client, happy to take any questions and calls after this. So yeah, don't hesitate to get in touch or hit me up on LinkedIn, or maybe we'll send my details out after.
Awesome. And the last thing would be Q&A. So in case you have any questions, feel free to send it over there. I see one question came for us. Alex, could you please once again talk about the batch payment approval feature? Is it live, and how to enable it in ApprovalMax? It is live. It is right now under open beta. So you can already play around with this feature. You can already see that in action. It is actually available for all new users. If you'll start a new trial right now, you will find that there is a batch payment workflow under your accounts payable list of workflows. In case you need to understand a bit more the way it works, you can always say, first of all, take a look on our knowledge base. Very soon, I'm already working on that. We'll be having how-to videos on how to create those workflows and how to create the batches. So very soon it will be available. But overall, the idea here will remain the same. We're trying to create this multi-step, multi-level approval process for creating and approving your batches. So then it will be sent over to your Xero file. But thank you for this question.
Yeah, and Alex, just to also add there, Airwallex is able to make single payments, but we also have a batch payment functionality. So a lot of payment platforms will just be able to support local payments, so GBP or Euro. Using Airwallex's batch payment functionality, you're actually able to do multiple currencies. So being able to combine multiple payment runs from different offices that a business may be in.
Mm-hmm. I see one question for you, James. Is Airwallex serving clients based in Ireland?
Yep, absolutely. So we've got a license in the UK and also in Europe. So able to support any business in the EU, and Ireland is definitely something we can support.
See, one question for both of us actually. Have a client who could use both ApprovalMax and Airwallex. How long would we need to implement these apps? Well, I can start with ApprovalMax. It's actually, the implementation process is very simple. The only challenging thing I would say here would be for you to understand what should be the hierarchy of your organization. If you know the way it should be structured, maybe where each bill should go to based on the amounts, or maybe based on the supplier or the tracking categories, replicating that into ApprovalMax takes literally a couple of minutes. So it's very, very simple to use. Even my grandma can understand the way it works.
In terms of the implementation time for Airwallex, we have as a banking application, we need to approve clients. Generally, that takes 2 to 3 days, and then they'll have full access to create bank accounts, make cards, make payments. Every client gets an account manager, so being able to have that point of contact for the initial setup is quite important for us. So we run through quite a good demo, understand what the clients are after, and just being able to support them from day one. So in terms of the implementation time, if you think about a week, that's generally a safe time to get started.
Mm-hmm. Does Airwallex integrate with QuickBooks?
QuickBooks is coming very soon. So in terms of accounting integrations, we mentioned Xero. We also have NetSuite Live. QuickBooks is coming, I've been told, the end of the year, but if not, early next year. So that's something that we are very much looking forward to.
Okay. What else?
Got another question from Bianca. It sounds like we'll definitely worthwhile having a call, Bianca. But in terms of competitors, Revolut is very similar. Same TransferWise for Wise, for those that know it. The key difference between Airwallex and those two is that both Revolut and Wise have quite a big consumer offering, almost with a built-in business application. So Airwallex is just serving business clients, so just serving the B2B market. In terms of what that means for us, it means a lot of our resources is looking to build out products for the business market. So one thing is the expense management. So being able to have employee cards with that added function of taking a photo of the receipt, uploading it. And then also we have an online payments function. So being able to, if you think about an e-commerce store, the web checkout, you're able to use Airwallex for that. So in terms of how we're superior, I'd say it's more around the focus purely on the business market. And then also the account management focus. So being able to have that point of contact for anything that comes up. But Bianca, I'll definitely worthwhile jumping on a call to talk through in a bit more detail.
Okay, any additional question, guys? By the way, thank you very much for these questions. They're really nice. I see there is one more, but it's more like philosophical for you, James. What do you think will be the future of payments?
Yeah, look, I don't think I'm that well qualified to answer the future of payments, but I think I touched on a couple of points today around consolidating of payment providers. So I think in terms of the next steps for ApprovalMax and Airwallex, it's being able to provide that seamless integration from getting an invoice, approving it, being able to make a payment, whether it's with a couple of clicks, and just being able to have that, I suppose, comfort that payments are arriving quickly and cost efficiently.
Yeah, same things like when I look at the B2C market, when you want to go and buy some groceries, for example, now you have these Amazon stores where you can just walk in without any credit card on you or without any cash on you. You can just take whatever you need and you go out, and that's it. That's the whole process. Super simple, super convenient, super smooth. Though in between all of that, there is a lot of different technology being involved. And having such borderless technology, that's I think the future for the B2B as well. We'll come there eventually, and it will be super easy for B2B world to do the same payments.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, Airwallex is all around making business borderless. So being able to make an international payment as easy as it is to make a local payment. and being able to enable clients to scale up really quickly and having that solution.
I see there is one question. Will we get a recording of this webinar? Yes, of course. The recording and the presentation will be shared with you exactly in 24 hours. So once it will be processed, then later on you will receive the recording. So don't worry if you will need to share that with some of your colleagues. Everything will be available for you. Okay, any last question, guys? Seems like we're out of questions. Well, in that case, first of all, thank you very much for joining, for attending today's webinar. We hope it was useful. We hope you'll find some great insights, and both of our products will help you streamlining your accounts payable process. And with that, have a lovely rest of the day, and thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.